Ninja Gaiden 4 is one of those games that carry not only the weight of a legendary franchise, but also of an extensive hiatus in the hearts of fans thirsty for hardcore ninja action. And the development context of this return is filled with nuances and expectations that couldn't be any different. After all, it has been over 13 years since the last main title of the franchise, and the folks at Team Ninja felt the pressure of this legacy firsthand. Throughout all this time, there was always that uncomfortable feeling of unfinished work, that a worthy conclusion or evolution was missing for Ryu Hayabusa and his brutal and fascinating universe. And, honestly, for those who grew up challenging impossible bosses, every rumor of a new Ninja Gaiden was already a reason for speculation and anxiety. The most curious thing about this development is how the opportunity arose only when no one expected it anymore. An unexpected partnership between Team Ninja and Platinum Games. It sounds like something out of a behind-the-scenes documentary, but it was the friendship between executives and the perfect timing with support from Microsoft that gave it the final push. From early on, it was clear that the project only moved forward because both teams wanted to honor tradition without losing technical and creative freshness. For those who follow the trajectories of both companies, seeing Platinum injecting that stylish and frantic vibe into the franchise, alongside Team Ninja's finesse, is like putting the perfect ingredients together for a chaotic, but extremely high-potential recipe. Another remarkable point in the development is the focus on creating an experience that is both modern and challenging at the same time. In all the promotional material, it's noticeable that the teams were obsessed with maintaining the brutal and punishing DNA for which Ninja Gaiden became famous, but without alienating newcomers. This translates both to the new protagonist Yakumo and to innovative mechanics like the Blood Raven form and acrobatic movements based on wires and rails. For those who are tired of sequels that simplify everything in search of a larger audience, this balance between accessibility and challenge sounds like a bold promise, and few franchises dare as much as Ninja Gaiden in this regard. The choice of Yakumo as the protagonist also carries great symbolism in this context. After so much time without a new game, introducing a new character, but still giving space to Ryu Hayabusa is like saying, the future is here, but the legend remains alive. The narrative takes place in a cyberpunk Tokyo dominated by the threat of the Black Dragon, all amidst a rainy and decadent setting that amplifies the series. Classic tension, but with that stylish touch worthy of the best modern hack and slashes. From a technical point of view, the development was permeated by enormous challenges, especially to ensure that the new features, Platinum's mechanics, modern interfaces, did not dilute the precision and absolute gameplay control so characteristic of Ninja Gaiden. The direct involvement of big names in the project, such as Fumihiko Yasuda, Team Ninja, and Yuji Nakao, Platinum Games, also shows a rare commitment to ensuring authenticity and quality. The feeling it conveys is almost one of devout respect for the series' legacy, but with an openness to experiment and dare. This is perhaps the biggest mark of the development context, the desire to surprise veterans, but also to create an epic memory for those who never picked up Hayabusa's pixelated katana in the 2000s. Ninja Gaiden 4 marks the return of the legendary franchise after more than a decade, and its starting point in the story is already quite bold. The narrative unfolds in a futuristic Tokyo, devastated by supernatural forces and a chaotic miasma that takes over the metropolis. Instead of repeating old formulas, the game chooses a new protagonist, Yakumo, from the Raven clan, who emerges as a ninja prodigy shrouded in mystery. The setting mixes the classic urban ninja of old with a dark cyberpunk vibe, making the rainy, neon-filled streets almost living characters within the plot. The main threat arises with the resurgence of the Black Dragon, a malevolent entity linked to the Black Blade from the first games. Yakumo ends up inheriting the responsibility of facing this force, not only as a newcomer amidst the chaos, but also as someone who carries the weight of a ninja tradition in crisis. The fact that a young person is taking the lead would make me a bit apprehensive as a longtime Ryu Hayabusa fan, but it also awakens that uncomfortable expectation of seeing a franchise reinvent itself without losing its essence. It's a risk as interesting as it is dangerous, and nothing is more ninja than that. Throughout the journey, the story is not just about pure combat. There is Yakumo's personal quest about what it means to be a true ninja in these modern and corrupted times. The figure of Ryu Hayabusa transcends the role of protagonist. Besides being playable, he appears as a mentor, a symbol of discipline and honor. The dynamic between Yakumo and Ryu, full of respect and confrontation between generations, brings the kind of drama that I always wanted to see more deeply explored in Ninja Gaiden, especially because this conflict is not only physical, but also philosophical. The enemies here are much more than generic soldiers, cybernetic soldiers, demons, and creatures corrupted by underworld entities spread terror throughout Tokyo, turning each stage into a brutal and unpredictable war. Yakumo's blood-draven form, which manipulates blood for attacks and weapons, is the synthesis of this violent and visceral setting. And honestly, few franchises allow themselves to be so dark without falling into teenage exaggeration. There's a constant sense of danger, that any corner can be lethal, and this fully fuels the kind of tension that made Ninja Gaiden stand out back in the day. The narrative arc is not limited to defeating the villain. The game explores the conflict's impact on Yakumo himself, the doubt about the future of the Raven clan, and what remains of the old ninja order. The dialogues with Umi, the protagonist's operator, and the Dark Nest terminals, a kind of mechanical sanctuary, create a routine of contemplation between missions. And I really liked this more introspective approach. It's rare to see such detailed character development in a hack and slash, and that makes all the difference for those who enjoy a story without being rushed. A feature that really catches my attention is the dual moments between Yakumo and Ryu, and how the game uses supernatural elements to accentuate choices and consequences. There is a strong contrast between tradition and technological adaptation, and the narrative uses epic boss fights to question whether ancient ninja knowledge can truly survive in a world on the brink of collapse. For me, this type of discussion, if well conducted, could catapult Ninja Gaiden beyond a simple action game. It's the kind of writing that makes a difference when I compare it to other contemporary hack and slash titles. Ninja Gaiden 4 brings back that old sense of urgency and destiny, where every victory matters not only for the hero, but for the entire world under supernatural threat. The courage to insert personal drama and explore the limits of ninja protagonism without abandoning the franchise's bloody roots makes the game a possibly unforgettable chapter. Personally, I'm very excited to see Yakumo fighting to prove himself worthy, even if part of me will always root for Ryu Hayabusa to remain the pillar of the legend. After all, tradition and innovation only survive together in Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden 4 delivers combat that is both faithful to the series' essence and profoundly reinvented, thanks to the partnership between Team Ninja and Platinum Games. The fluidity of the animations and the precision of the controls immediately recall the DNA of titles like Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, but with the weight and brutality characteristic of Ryu Hayabusa's classic games. The pace is frantic. Enemies attack in waves, requiring reactive dodges, perfectly timed counterattacks, and constant reading of the battlefield. Every move has a consequence, and the combat system rewards technical mastery with expansive combos, clean cuts, and a sense of power that only grows as you master the mechanics. The player mainly controls Yakumo, a new member of the Raven clan, whose fighting style is a natural evolution of Ryu's legacy. He uses weapons like a dual sword and a spear, each with distinct weights, ranges, and combos, allowing for real customization and playstyle. The combination of light and heavy attacks, coupled with the use of shurikens and jumps, creates a solid foundation that expands with deeper mechanics. The movement system is enhanced with a double jump, wall running, jumps between vertical surfaces, and even grappling hooks to reach elevated areas, making vertical exploration not just possible, but essential. One of the absolute highlights is the Blood Raven form, activated by holding LT or L2 when the special bar is full. This transformation completely alters attacks, making them more powerful, with greater range and the ability to knock down resistant enemies. It's especially crucial against bosses, as it allows you to break defenses and interrupt charged attacks that would otherwise be devastating. The strikes in this form can be charged, further increasing the damage and visual impact, with blood and energy effects that reinforce the brutality of the moment. The enemy artificial intelligence has been improved to demand more from the player. Smaller enemies attack in groups, while larger ones have special attacks signaled with red flashes, which require perfect dodges or blocks at the exact moment. The perfect dodge system not only avoids damage, but also creates a brief pause in the action, allowing the player to reposition or counterattack immediately. A mechanic reminiscent of Bayonetta's Witch Time, but adapted to maintain the game's frantic pace without breaking the combat speed. Progression is deepened with a ninja coin system, obtained by defeating enemies and completing challenges, which can be exchanged with the character Tyrant to learn new techniques. This encourages experimentation and continuous improvement, especially on higher difficulty modes. The game offers multiple levels of challenge, from hero mode, with automatic dodging and blocking for beginners, to the brutal Master Ninja, where a single mistake can cost you the game. And in this mode, the difficulty cannot be changed without restarting the campaign. Despite the focus on combat, platforming is more present than ever. The levels are not linear, with side areas that hide chests, items, and secondary missions that require defeating specific enemies or minor bosses. These moments of exploration break the intense rhythm of the fights and allow the player to breathe. But they also test movement skills in well-designed platforming challenges with fatal falls and precise traps. Everything in Ninja Gaiden 4 seems designed to balance accessibility and extreme challenge. You can start in hero mode, learn the moves, master the combos, and gradually disable the assists until you face the game on normal, hard, and finally, master ninja with or without the dreaded death wish, where progression is redefined and the penalty for death is maximal. It's a game that trains you, humiliates you, and eventually transforms you into a true ninja. The graphics in Ninja Gaiden 4 are impressive mainly due to the combination of a modern look with references to cyberpunk and retro-futuristic atmospheres, especially in the urban scenarios. The game features a setting that mixes the traditional ninja aesthetic with a contemporary touch of neon lights, constant rain, and detailed textures, reminiscent of a futuristic Tokyo that brings to mind games like Ghost Runner. This art direction provides a vibrant and stylized visual experience, where the contrast between the dark environment and the luminous effects creates a striking and quite immersive effect. Besides the setting, the game's graphic quality stands out in the character details, especially in the movement and attack animations. The execution of the strikes is visibly fluid, with many effects of gushing blood and dismemberment of enemies, which reinforces the violent and relentless tone of the Ninja Gaiden franchise. This graphic violence is displayed with clarity and matches the frantic pace of combat without losing definition. It's a nice balance between explicit visuals and performance, which sustains the tension of the battles without seeming exaggerated or overly cartoonish. Another relevant point is the care in the design of the platforming scenes, which are complemented by graphics that help guide the player, whether with color contrasts to indicate explorable areas, or with visual details that reinforce the environmental narrative. These graphical qualities make the world feel larger and more alive, encouraging exploration that is not only functional, but also visually worthwhile. The rain, the glow of neon, the dynamic shadows, all of this invites the player to look around while fighting, which is a quality often overlooked in fast-paced action games. In terms of visual customization, the game offers options to reduce the gore and adjust visual elements for those who prefer a less violent experience or prioritize clarity on the screen. This shows an inclusive care not only for the hardcore audience, but for players seeking a less aggressive visual setting without losing the identity of the Ninja Gaiden universe. The ability to change colors of interface elements and adjust contrasts to favor visibility demonstrates a level of refinement that goes beyond the technical graphics themselves, reaching the user experience. Ninja Gaiden 4 is a game that pleases in the graphics department both for those who enjoy a modern and polished aesthetic and for those who value performance and fluid gameplay. The team managed to deliver a violent, beautiful, and detailed look, while keeping the game accessible in its graphical options for different tastes and hardware. For me, this harmony between visuals and fast gameplay is what makes the game stand out among other current hack and slash titles, showing that you don't need to sacrifice visuals for intense gameplay or vice versa. It's a success that has set my expectations very high for the official release. Ninja Gaiden 4 brings an impressive performance, especially for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, which support modes up to 120 FPS. This results in incredibly fluid and responsive gameplay, something essential for a hack and slash as fast and frantic as Ninja Gaiden. For players who prioritize graphic quality, the game also offers 60 FPS modes in high resolution, ensuring a balance between visuals and performance. The Xbox Series S is limited to 60 FPS, while on PC it's possible to reach 120 FPS depending on the hardware configuration, which offers great flexibility for different player profiles and systems. In my personal impressions, the responsiveness of the controls is one of the high points of this new version. The character's movement, which includes running, jumping, double jumping, wall running, and wall-to-wall jumping, is faster and better tuned than ever before in the series' history. The ease with which the protagonist can perform these dynamic movements has made combat much more agile and enjoyable, enhancing the immersion in the ninja experience. However, I felt that despite this speed, the difficulty still creates a challenge throughout the progression, maintaining constant tension in battles and platforming moments. One point that affected me a bit negatively was the loading time. For such a fast and intense game, the delay in loading stages or restarting after frustrating deaths proved to be a bit long, which breaks the rhythm a bit in those moments when you lose a life and want to get back into the action immediately. This detail is especially bothersome because the game encourages hit and run and constant improvement, and the flow of a quick return to combat could be more optimized. However, this doesn't compromise the overall quality, but it's a detail that deserves to be polished for future updates or versions. Another relevant aspect of performance is the quality of the partnership between Team Ninja and Platinum Games, which delivered combat that is not only fast, but also full of flashy combos and precise moves. The frequency of animations at a high frame rate makes the game feel much more modern and dynamic than previous titles in the series, even while maintaining its traditional hack and slash roots. The visual intensity and fluidity of the strikes make the most of the 120 FPS, creating a visceral sensation that only reinforces the adrenaline during fights against hordes of enemies or powerful bosses. Overall, the technical performance of Ninja Gaiden 4 conveys the feeling of a natural evolution for the franchise to today's standards, while at the same time respecting the classic feel. The attempt to perfect movement and command response, combined with very high performance options, delivers a very enjoyable experience for veteran fans and players looking for challenge and fluidity. The pressure to maintain the series' historic difficulty is present, but the performance doesn't fall short in any of these aspects, which pleased me a lot as a fan of the franchise and fast-paced action games. In short, Ninja Gaiden 4 has a robust performance with 60 and 120 FPS modes, more fluid and responsive movement than ever, flashy combat with the collaboration of Platinum Games, some loading moments that slightly break the rhythm, but overall delivers a very well-optimized package for the current generation. It's the kind of game that makes the player feel the power and speed of the ninja in a very visceral way, and that, for me, is one of the greatest technical and artistic achievements of this new edition of the series. If you're a fan of hardcore action games and have Game Pass Ultimate or PC Game Pass, buying at launch makes no sense at all because the game is available on the service from day one. Now, if you play on PlayStation, that's a different story. The game isn't on any of Sony's subscription services, so you'll have to shell out the money if you want to play it right away. As for whether it's worth it at launch, man, that really depends on your profile. This game is mainly recommended for series veterans or fans of high-difficulty action games like Devil May Cry or the faster Souls-likes who aren't afraid of dying repeatedly to learn insane combos. I, who spent hours suffering in Ninja Gaiden Black, see this as a paradise for those who enjoy a visceral challenge with replayable chapters and increasing difficulties that reward mastery. If you're the type who loves to feel like a ninja killing machine in a rainy cyberpunk Tokyo, you'll connect with it immediately. For newcomers, it can be a good entry point thanks to the new protagonist Yakumo, designed to be more accessible, and the detailed tutorial that teaches everything from basics to advanced combos. Personally, I think that someone who has never played Ninja Gaiden can start here without feeling lost. Since the plot takes place after the third game, but focuses on a new threat without depending too much on the old lore. However, prepare for a steep learning curve. It's not for casuals who want something relaxed. Compared to its predecessors, Ninja Gaiden 4 modernizes the camera, which was a nightmare in the old games, and adds quality-of-life improvements like better checkpoints. But it maintains the brutality that made me love the franchise. I feel that the collaboration with Platinum Games brings a freshness, preventing it from feeling dated like some spin-offs. And the previews show that it's more replayable with multiple weapons and forms. For me, this justifies the hype of being the return of the legend after 13 years. At the end of the day, if you have Game Pass or can afford it at launch without breaking the bank, go for it. Waiting only makes sense if you're a total beginner and want to see a lot of post-launch reviews to confirm stability, but based on what I've seen, the risk of disappointment is low. This is my sincere opinion. If you liked the video, like and share.
See you in the next video.